Legal experts say a sentencing provision that can keep killers in prison for the rest of their lives is likely to make its way to the Supreme Court of Canada. The federal government enacted legislation in 2011 that allows a judge to order a multiple murderer to serve consecutive periods of parole ineligibility for each offense. It has only been applied on 6 occasions. Read more. Convicted triple murderer Derek Suretsky sentenced to life in prison, no parole for 75 years. The most recent was in the case of Derek Suretsky, who was sentenced in August for the first-degree murders of a man and his 2-year-old daughter as well as a senior in southwestern Alberta. Suretsky received the mandatory sentence of life in prison. But instead of the usual 25 years before parole eligibility, the judge ordered that Suretsky spend at least 3 times that long 75 years behind bars before he can apply to get out. This case hammers home the stark reality of the law as it is now. If you want to make it consecutive, you've got to make it 75 for 3 murders, said Calgary defense lawyer Balfour Dare, who is challenging Suretsky's conviction and sentence in Alberta's appeal court. We're talking about a 22-year-old who would end up with no parole until he's 97. If we look at it that way, maybe we should give him a break. On the other hand, this is a very serious crime. This is highly emotional because of the circumstances of the deaths and who are the victims. Read more. Triple murderer Derek Suretsky appeals conviction and sentence. Dare said it's a tricky legal issue. One of the grounds of appeal will likely be that the consecutive minimums of 25 years amounts to cruel and unusual punishment and, because of that, the section is unconstitutional. He suggests a sliding scale for consecutive parole ineligibilities that still recognizes the seriousness of a case. Timeline: convictions that have led to consecutive murder sentencing in Canada. A University of Calgary law professor said she wouldn't be surprised if the case shows up in Canada's top court. I don't know how or in what manner the court would deal with it, but I would suspect it will happen, said Lisa Silver. She said she can understand the argument since it's a relatively recent provision in the criminal code. It does mean that someone is spending an amount in custody that was unheard of in the past, Silver said. It is something that the Supreme Court of Canada needs to look at and needs to determine once and for all. Is this constitutional? Read more. Travis Baumgartner sentenced to life in prison, not eligible for parole for 40 years. Veteran Calgary defense lawyer Elaine Hepner expects the provision will get a second look by the federal government. That's the U.S. model, he said. It's not too extreme from a public perception, but the case law and the judges say we're not here to pander to the public opinion. We have to apply the law. A lot of these people may never see the light of day and the public may want that. There's got to be other ways of doing it. Alberta's Justice Minister said consecutive parole ineligibilities can be a useful tool as a signal to criminals that multiple crimes may lead to a longer sentence.